defined fascism, which I think is quite interesting, is the integration of corporation and state. Okay, so let's talk about the media, the legacy media in Canada. $595 million salary subsidy in the last 4 years. $1.2 billion annually for the CBC, which has also been it's also been recommended to the CBC that they decrease rather than increase their reliance on private advertising. $60 million pandemic-specific emergency support fund, $10 million special measures for journalism top-up for 2021 and 22. And then the recent request by the Toronto Star, and I hope I get this right, which is probably the loudest rag in the country beating the Trudeau drum, for $60 million, describing a $30 million annual shortfall in their operating budget. And so, here's the thing I think that Canadians are faced with at the moment that's so awful. It's related to this press-government collusion issue. The typical Canadian is someone who's believed for years in the reality of peace, order, and good government, right? Our constitutional principle, and that our fundamental institutions were essentially reliable: government, education, media. Let's say you could count on them to at least try to tell the truth under most circumstances. And so Trudeau now is facing them with a very difficult choice, which is you either believe that all of those institutions have become corrupt and unreliable in a profound and frightening way, and that now includes the banks, or you can believe that there's a handful of protesters who have far-right ties and can be justly demonized. And I suspect for most Canadians, for many Canadians, it's easier to believe the latter, especially when that's what the Prime Minister and his cronies are saying, than the former, even though, unfortunately, and I say this as someone with a fair bit of respect for fundamental institutions and wish that they would operate properly, unfortunately, the former has proved itself, perhaps in the last 2 weeks, to be far more true than even the most cautious of us